In this video, we will see how we can use Python in order to make text-based role-playing games. And while doing so, we will also learn the basics of Python. So first thing which we have to do is install Python. So go to your browser and in the search engine you can type download Python 3 and you will be taken to the python.org website. You can click on this link and then you can click on this download Python and it will start the download. So you have to wait for it to download and it has downloaded for me. I will now go to the setup and I can simply install it by double clicking it. So when you double click it, you can see something like this. So you will have options to install and you just have to click next and install it wherever you want. So yeah, after doing this, you will get your Python 3.9 installed in your system and you can find it from the search bar here. So first of all, let me show you actually how to do that. Let me click on repair option. So it will do something like this. It will uh, do the setup and you will have to wait for it to finish. So after you have finished installing, you can go to your search bar here and you can type IDLE and then you will see all the IDLEs with their associated Python versions. So since we have installed 3.9, you can click on IDLE Python 3.9 and it will open the IDLE 3.9, IDLE Python 3.9 and you will see a window like this. So this is a Python interpreter. You can type Python commands in it and run them very quickly. So we will not be typing commands here. We will be creating a file and writing our program over there. So go to file and click on new file and then you will see something like this. So this is a like a notepad, like a word processor. You can type something here and you can save it as your Python program. So let us first type a very simple program. Let us print hello world. You can do it like this using the print statement. Print brackets hello world. And hello world should be within double quotes because it's a string. So let me now save this program. You can save it by pressing Ctrl plus S or you can go to file and click on save and you will see that you are in Python 3.9 folder. I have made a tutorial folder inside it and inside this I will store all my tutorial files. So you can do the same. So since I have these files already, I will choose the name as hello world 2. The extension should be .py, but you don't have to worry about that here because the extension is already written here. Right, so click on save and you have saved your file. Now you can run this file, run this program. Just go to run and click on run module. So now your program has run and you are seeing the output here, hello world. So okay, we have run our first program. Uh, we saw what are strings. Well, strings are a set of characters which are written inside double quotes, and we printed this string on the console, right? So now let's see how to create variables in Python. It is very simple. You don't have to specify the type of the variable. You can just write a is equal to 5 and you have declared your variable. Oh yeah, before I write that, you can write comments in Python using the hash character, right? Hash, and you can type any comment you want. Suppose I will type here variable declaration, right? And print command. So like this, you can type comments. Like this, you can create your variable, and like this, you can print a string on the console. So now let me print this value, print this variable, right? So you can print values of variables too. If you simply type print a, it will print the value 5 on the console. So let me run it. So you can see 5 hello world, which is our first string which we printed, and 5 is the value of the variable a, right? So this is working, it is good. Now let me create a new variable b and give it value 6. You can perform all the basic mathematical operations, plus, minus, divide, right, multiply. You can do that. And let me now create a third variable, and I will put the sum of a and b inside it. Simply, there is no special syntax for this. Just c is equal to a plus b. And now you can print c. And now c will be the sum of a and b, which is 11. So let us see if we get the correct answer. Yes, we got 11. That's good. That's great. And now I'm just telling the basics, because suppose you don't know the basics, then you won't be able to jump into the text-based role-playing game creation. So that's why operator. Okay. Yeah. Similarly, you can perform division, multiplication, subtraction. There is no problem in that. Now let us see conditional statements. So how will we do that? You can type like this: if a is less than b, and after typing your if statement, you will have to put a colon in Python. So that's necessary in order to create a block. So what's a block? You can see that these statements are independent, right? I mean, they are not inside any other statement. If a statement is inside another statement, then it is said to be in the block of that statement. Like suppose if I write if a is less than b colon. Now by using colon, I have told my interpreter that now I'm going to start a block. And in Python, blocks are denoted by this tab space here. So if you put one tab space, it will mean that you are now inside the block. But if you go back, it will mean that you are outside the block. So if I type a statement here, it will mean that I am outside the block of this if statement. But if I type this by putting a tab space, and if I type something here, this will mean that I am inside the block of this is if statement. So it can be little confusing. So I will explain to you by this. You may remember, if you have done programming before, you may remember this type of statement, right? This curly bracket. So within this curly bracket, we say that there is a block, right? So similarly, in Python, blocks are uh, denoted by this. Start of block is denoted by colon, and the block itself is denoted by one tab space, which should be after the statement whose block we are in. Like we are in the block of if statement right now. So now I have to put one tab space from this if statement, and now it will mean that I am in the block of this if statement. So this is very important. Python, if you put two tab spaces, it will not work. It really depends on uh, how you have programmed. It may be that if you put two tab spaces and you have two blocks, suppose I have two blocks, and one tab space will mean that I am in this block, right? And two tab spaces here, three tab spaces actually from there will mean that I am in this if statement, the block of this is if statement. So it can be a little confusing. So let's not do that kind of thing. So yeah, I am inside the block of this if statement. Now I will type print a is less than b, if a is less than b, right? So I will print a less than b. So now we can put else also and print b is less than a, in case a is greater than b, right? So this is good. Let's should work. Let me run this statement, this program. Oh yeah, it is running a is less than b. So good, we were able to run our conditional statement. So now, what if a is equal to b? So we have not handled that case yet. If a is equal to b, we can handle it separately. If you want, let me handle it separately. A is equal to b. So to compare numbers, we need to use double equal to. To compare equality of two numbers, we have to use double equal to inside the if statement. So now, if a is equal to b, we can type print a is equal to b. So this will print a is equal to b if a is equal to b, but it is not. So let us run and see. Yeah, it did not print a is equal to b. It printed a is less than b. So we can see that this is working. But if we want to make our program a little more efficient, we can simply take this statement, if statement, and put it among these statements, right? So let me erase this, and you can put else if. So in Python, else if can be written as elif. So it will mean the same as else if, right? So what do I want to test here? So first I tested if a is less than b. Okay, suppose a is not less than b, then what? Then a can be greater than b, right? Right, a can be greater than b. And if that is also not the case, then what else can be the case? Then we can also have a case a is equal to b, right? So we can print a is equal to b, right? So let me make a equal to b. Let me do that. Let me make a is equal to 6 and b is also equal to 6. So yeah, a is equal to b because now a is equal to b here, right? B is 6 and a is 6 too. So yeah, that's how you can do it. And in the end, you don't really have to use this condition, because if a is less than b, if a is not less than b and a is also not greater than b, then there is only one possibility, that a is equal to b, right? There is only one possibility left. It's not less than b, right? It's not greater than b. So what else can it be? It can be equal to b. There is no other possibility, right? So you can eliminate this elif statement here. You don't need to put this condition. You can just put else, right? If this is not true and this is also not true, then you simply print a is equal to b. You don't have to test any condition because there is no other possibility, right? So just run the module and a is equal to b, right? So that's good. So we have seen our if statement also. Let me write here conditional statement, right? So yeah, let's now see how we can take input from the user. So let me type something like x is equal to raw input. Please enter a value, right? So I will now print this x, right? So let's see if this works. So there is an error. I think in Python 3 raw input is not defined, so it is just input. Let me, yeah, it is raw keyword and run the module. So yeah, it is now asking me for a value, so I will enter 45 and it has printed my value. That's amazing. That's good. We have successfully taken user input. Now you can, I will run it again, and now I will try to give a string to it. So I will type text page rpg, and you can see that I have stored my input inside my program, inside my x variable, inside my x variable. So now we see that we can input numbers and string using just one statement input. So that's really cool. So I will run it again, and now I will try to input a floating point value. Yeah, I can also enter floating point value using just input statement. So that's pretty good if you ask me. Right, so we have taken user input also, user input, right. And what else is remaining? What else do you need in order to make a text-based role-playing game? Uh, I think you will also need to be able to, use loops, and that's really important. So in uh, loops are a little bit different in Python compared to other languages. So let me just see loops in Python because even I don't remember them properly. So there it is. This is the for loop, and you can run loops like this over an array, or you can run loops like this for x in range 5, for x in range 3 to 6, for x in range 382. So that's your loop. So if you don't know loops logically, like you don't know the logic of loops, then you don't have to worry about it. I will tell you. I was just looking at the syntax because I don't remember the syntax. And while loops are really interesting because they can keep running as long as you want, right? So yeah, okay. Let's cover loops now. Let's cover loops because they're important. And okay, while loop, while true, while true. Wait, let me clear this first. Yeah. Okay, so let's now start a loop, and I want to run a loop 5 times. Suppose. Right, 5 times. So let me make a for loop for x in range 5. Right. So 5. I think 5 will go 6 times, but let's test it. So what I have written just now, I will explain it in just a minute. So you see, I created a block. I put colon and I press enter. Now I am inside the block of for statement. Blocks are really important in Python, and I think you should get a hang of it before you start creating your own applications because it's really important. It can lead to really confusing errors sometimes, and it can be really frustrating when you have a really huge program and you have messed up your blocks. It kind of becomes a big problem. So there it is. For x in range 5, I will print something. Print this statement is printed 5 times. But I think it will be printed 6 times. But let's see. Okay, semicolon is not put in Python. But yeah, I will save it and now let us run the program and see what happens. Okay, please enter a value. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it has printed 5 times. So I guess in Python, this range statement starts from 1, not from 0. So that's okay. That's okay. And so what I did here is that I actually ran a loop. Uh, a loop means uh, run something many times, right? Loop, keep on going again and again through the same thing. That's a loop. So to start a loop, you have to write this statement or something similar. And there's something similar means something like this, like yeah, here something similar, or I can go for this website. That's a better website. Yeah, you can go for this. I will tell you how to use this. It's not very difficult. This is an array, and you are iterating through an array. This is really useful. So we will see how you can use it. Yeah. So that's there are many ways to run a loop. Like we ran the loop using this statement, right? So let me now. Range statement is simply a statement that returns a range of numbers from 1, starting from 1. If you have put just one number here, if I put 2, 3 to 5, then it will print only 1, 2, 3, 3 times, 2 times. Okay, it is non-inclusive, it seems. It does not include the one of the boundary values, you know, it is non-input. So you have to subtract it. 5 minus 3, 5 minus 3 is 2, so it ran 2 times. And if you don't put anything here, that means 5 minus 0, 5 minus 0 is 5, so it will run 5 times. So that's the essence of range statement. Range statement will simply return an array of numbers. Let me print what exactly the range statement is returning, so that we can be very clear about it, what the range statement is returning. So let me uh, put these in a comment, this also, because I don't need it right now. Right, so let me just print range 5, just to make sure what this is actually returning. Yeah, it is returning a range 0 to 5. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, okay, but when you will use it in a loop, it will make that loop run 5 times because 5 minus 0 is 5. That's how range statement is working. That's not how everything works in programming. You have to make sure how different languages handle loops. And in Python, you have to do the range statement, and it works like this. Okay, cool. That's okay. That's fine. Right. So that's one way to run a loop. Now let's see some other way in which we can run a loop. Yeah, of course you can put what if I put -1? Let's see what happens when I put -1 to 5 here. Will it make it run 5 minus -1 is 6? Will it run 6 times? Let us see how it handles this -1. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It ran 6 times. So it's pretty good. That's what it's doing, right? So it's just taking this number and subtracting this number from it, and whatever the result is, it is running the loop that many times. So that's how this loop is working. So that's amazing. That's pretty cool. Now let me show you how you can write arrays in Python. So it's very simple. I will write an array. I will give it a variable name. Array is equal to, okay, that may be a little bit problematic. I will just array for me is equal to, now put square brackets, and inside the square bracket you can add your values, right? So I have added some values here, 45, 56 and 667. So this is my array, which is a list, basically a list of numbers, a list of items, any kind of item. Can be string, it can be integers, it can be floating point numbers, right? So that's amazing. Now I want to uh, pick each element of the array and perform some operations on it. Suppose I want to print all the numbers of the array, although I can print it like this also. Like I will print, let's see what I get here. Array for me, I will print this array. So let's see what we can obtain from this. We will obtain simply the array which we have declared, right? Just in the same way also, there is no uh, it displays like this only. So that's okay, that's one way to display the whole array. But suppose I want to display each number individually. I want to access each number. I want to perform some operations on it, or I want to send it to a server or whatever. So how will I do that? I can do that using for loop, for x in array for me, right? For x in array for me. I want to iterate through all the elements of my array. So let me now go inside the block and show you how to print this element. Print x. Now what x is? X is actually just just an identifier which will take the values of individual elements of my array one by one, right? X will take the value of the individual elements of my array one by one, right? And I can access this value one by one inside the block of this for statement. I can access this value one by one. So now it will print 45, 56 and 667, but one by one, right. So let's run this. So yeah, you can see it printed at 45, 56, 667, 667. It is printing it one by one. It is accessing it one by one. Here it printed really simply, right? Whatever I put in my array, it just threw it out. But here I have accessed each element one by one, each element differently. I can perform any operation also on it before printing it. So I can print it with the x plus 4, x plus 5. So each value will be printed with 5 added to it. So let's run this. So yeah, you can see each value is printed with 5 added to it, right? So that's the importance of for in for I mean that's the importance of iterating through an array, because it can be a really important operation, right? So now let me show you how we can use while loop. While while just while true, the value of true is true, you know. I think true is written like this, yeah, while true. So if you want to write true and false in Python, you have to write it in uppercase. The first letter should be uppercase. While true, print, this statement will print forever if I don't break it. So I will not run this because it can lead to the program crashing. I don't want to crash the program. So, but if you run this statement, this while true statement, it will print this statement indefinitely until you close the program. We don't want this to happen right now. We do want this to happen. We will use this while true statement when we are making our game, but not right now. So what we will do is, if we can add a break statement. What it will do is it will break the loop, right? This loop is supposed to run forever, but since I have put a break statement here, it will run once and break. It will stop. So let me run this. Enter a value. Yeah, yeah, okay. This statement will print forever if I don't break it. So I broke it, that's why it stopped once. But I don't know if I should show you the forever running statement, but let's show you how this statement looks like when it runs indefinitely. Let me first comment out this because I don't need it. And now let's run this program. Yeah, look, you can see that it's running indefinitely and I can't stop it. But if you still want to stop it, you can press Control plus C. Control plus C, right? And when you do that, for a statement that is running indefinitely, it will stop the statement. That's like a fail safe which you have, which is given to you by the operating system or by this program. This fail safe has been given to you by this program. So we are I'm thankful for it. And yeah, so that's how a infinite loop looks like. Infinite loop, indefinitely running loop. So that's how it works. Right, right, okay. So I can also make my while loop run a particular number of times, so by using some external variable. So suppose I will use this variable count, and I will declare it to 0, initialize it to 0, and every time my while loop runs, I will increase the value of count by 1, right? Count is equal to count plus 1. I increase the value. So now I want to run the loop, suppose 6 times. So I will put a if statement here, and I will say if count is greater than or equal to 6. When this will happen, I will run the break statement. I want to break it. So if my while statement has run for 6 times, 6 times, then I will break it. I will stop it. And how will I count how many times has it run? I am counting it here, right? Count is equal to count plus 1. The count variable will increase by 1 every loop, every time. So that's how I will be able to count how many times my loop has run. So run module, and yeah, it ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 6 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So that's how you can run a while loop a particular number of times. Both while and for loops are very important in Python, extremely important. So yeah, but suppose I want to stop the while loop, uh, you know, when I press a key, right? When I press a key. Let's see how to capture key presses in Python. Key presses in Python. So suppose you don't know something in Python, like I don't know everything in Python also. So I will also use Google or DuckDuckGo and search for the different things. You can go to Stack Overflow, it's a good website. You can go to personal blogs, and you can go to W3 Schools, which is extremely good website for this. Okay, key presses in Python. Let's see the answer. So you have to, this person is saying that you have to install a 5Win32 extension, and you can then activate key presses, which is okay. And in this blog, they are saying that you can install this pinput module, right, in Python in order to capture key presses. Oh yeah, it's for simulating. Yeah, no, I don't want to simulate. I think I want to do this. But as you can see, PyWin32, it will only work on Windows, it seems. And there is one more blog post which will tell us about key presses. So yeah, let's have a look at it. How to detect key presses. Again, the pinput module is used to do that. Right, right. So we will need key presses, but this is not a basic thing. This is not a basic concept of Python. It is required in our case because we will be using some key presses in order to make our game better. But yeah, before we end it, we're going to end it now. It's, I think you have learned many things, all the basics, print statement, variable, operations, conditional statement, loops, arrays, right? So right, yeah, I don't think you will need other things for this. Yes, we will need, also we will need file saving. We will do that, but this is an advanced topic. We will also need key press detection, right? We will need that. We will also need to have you know, maybe I will try to export it to Python, sorry, Android, right, on Android, because if you are playing text-based game, most likely you will play it on Android, most likely. So yeah, and another thing which we can try, I'm not saying that we will do it, but we can try doing some networking, okay, right. But these are some advanced concepts, and this was all the basics of Python. If you want me to make something else about the basics of Python or anything else, then you can tell me in the comment section, and I will try to make it if I know it, basically. Otherwise, I will also, do a DuckDuckGo search and you know, tell you the answer from there, or you can look at it yourself. But yeah, that's that basics. And next time, in the next video, we will see how to detect key presses and how to save our data in a file locally. And yeah, so that's what we will be doing in the next video. So thank you for watching, and I hope you like this.